And we are live with our 48th installment of Nansen Office Hours. GM, thank you for joining us today. Drop your GMs in the chat, please. My name is Alex. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Nansen. They call me the token god on Twitter. If you're new to Office Hours, every Wednesday we do a Nansen and Chill session where we look at Nansen's new features. I try to answer questions from you, and we also drop the occasional alpha leak. This is the first Office Hours I'm doing solo. I normally have a guest or a co-lead for the session, so we might keep it a little bit short unless you guys have a lot of great questions, which I encourage you to drop in the chat. Some of the things that we're going to be looking at today are some new Nansen features. As mentioned, we actually have a few that you might be interested in. We also will look at the ENS airdrop, which happened this week and was quite a nice gift that was handed out to .eth holders all over the world. And we also might have a quick look at Liquity plus other interesting things we come across while poking around in the Nansen dashboards. So today it's just going to be me and this Pengu joining the session. Maybe we should update the title of the YouTube video to be Alex with the Pengu doing Office Hours. But let's see. I see some GMs in the chat. I also see that people have a lot of questions, which is cool. Feel free to drop them as we go through all this content that we will discover together using Nansen. All right, so I think I want to just dive right in here. Let me see if I can open up a separate window and I will share my screen. Here we go. Boom. Nice. Okay, I'm going to put it up there separately. And I will go to pro.nansen.ai, which is where we start, as always. And so a few things I want to go over today. When it comes to new features, you might notice that on the left-hand side, we now have the menu bar. It used to be up here, but we decided that the old menu bar was not really scalable. And so with this new menu bar, we get a nicer user experience. It scales better as well because we can add stuff here and we can collapse things more easily and so on and so forth. So you can click these nice little expand all buttons to see everything under each header, and you can collapse them all, or you can expand them individually, which is nice. And we have this quick access area here, where in the future, you will be able to save your favorite dashboards so that you can more easily access them. So this is quite a nice little UX improvement. We are also going to be adding a sort of collapse or toggle feature so that you can hide the menu, because of course it does take up a little bit of real estate on the screen. So stay tuned while we add that functionality. Another thing to mention here is that yesterday we announced that we would have Solana support coming to Nansen. So hope everyone is excited about that. And one of the reasons why we decided to do this was because people have been giving us feedback. And so the best way to give us feedback, and we are showing to you that we actually listen to what you say, is to go to feedback.nansen.ai, and you can input stuff here: existing dashboards, new dashboards, smart alerts, user experience, etc. And you can write things. So let's say I wanted Solana support. I might write Solana, and boom, actually it searches for me here on the side, where I can see that someone already asked for Solana support, and it has 39 upvotes, which is quite high. In fact, I think if I look for the top posts, Solana support is actually the second highest, most requested feature from our users. And so that's one of the reasons why we're going to add Solana support. In terms of a timeline, we're shooting for Q1, so early next year. Solana is a very heavy and complex chain to add support for. It is not an EVM chain, which is what we normally specialize in. So we do have to spend quite a bit of engineering resources to get it up and running. But it's going to be really exciting to finally be able to, or to no longer have to trade in the dark on Solana once you get Nansen support for Solana. So I'm excited about that, and I know a lot of our users are excited about it too. Cool. Then I think another thing I wanted to bring up here in terms of new stuff that we have is there's been an update to the Nansen Bluechip index. So what is this index? The Nansen Bluechip index is effectively the 20, how should we put this? The top 20 NFT collections on Ethereum based on certain metrics. And every 90 days or every quarter, we have a refresh on this. And so we did kind of like an out of quarter refresh on it because we wanted to, it had not existed very long, and we wanted to do a refresh without having to wait all the way to the next quarter. And so we did this kind of update to this Bluechip index now, and we're going to do the next one in January, of course, and then it's going to be every quarter going forward. But some of the updates that happened here that you might want to know about is that Subducks here replaced Tom Sachs. Sorry, Tom Sachs. Congratulations, Subducks. Voxies replaced The Currency by Damien Hirst. Sorry about that, Damien Hirst. Treeverse replaced 0n1 Force, and the Doge Pound replaced Blitmap. So other than that, it actually stayed pretty constant, which indicates that, like, especially the rest of the collections that are in the Bluechip index are probably quite resilient to changes, right? So let's see if there's going to be a lot of changes next quarter as well. But for now, it looks like it's pretty solid. I'm going to take a little bit of a pause here and see if there's any questions. No questions, just a lot of GMs and someone asking for a Nansen token. Okay, interesting. If you have questions as we go through the session, please drop them in the chat. A few other things that I wanted to go through here. So we also have this entity Billboard, which I just skipped ahead through here, but you can also find it by simply going to discovering an entity Billboard. And this is pretty cool, actually, because it ranks entities, and an entity here is like basically anything that can be described as a real world entity, which may or may not have multiple different addresses. So most of the stats we compile in Nansen are address level, right? But here we're talking about entities that could have multiple addresses. And so if you look at something like ENS, Ethereum Name Service, that's something that obviously has several different addresses associated with it. And you can see that there's been a massive change in the number of transactions and a massive change in number of users. You also see a few other ones like Booba, which is an NFT collection, it appears like. The sector here tells us what this entity is all about. We also see Merit Circle, which is a guild, and we might look into that a little bit later, actually. But it's related to NFTs as well. And there's been a big increase in both users and transactions here. And you can also play around with these parameters, right? You can see, hey, what are the top transactions in the last 7 days or 30 days or 7 days? And also, 1.3 million transactions here. You see it like for wrapped Ether, Uniswap, Tether, Center, which is USDC. SHIB, has a 1.5 million transactions in the last 30 days. And you can also see how many users. So if we sort by users, you can see Coinbase, like 600,000 unique addresses interacting with Coinbase, almost 500,000 addresses interacting with Shiba Inu. And you can also sort by the number of smart money addresses or smart money users. When we say users here, we just mean addresses, just to be clear about that. So SushiSwap, for example, has a lot of smart money interacting with it. ENS, Curve, MakerDAO, and so on and so forth. Shiba Inu, less so, it appears. So yeah, that's what you can see in the entity billboard. Eventually, you will be able to click on these different entities and you will be able to get an entity profiler, which can give you information about the entity across all their addresses. So I'm personally quite looking forward to that when we roll it out. Okay, what else do we want to look at? Well, we could perhaps have a quick look at the Axie Infinity dashboard, which has some interesting stats as well. And why is this relevant? Well, there's recently been announced the Katana. Let's see, Katana. I think it's .roninchain.com. So this is the DEX on Ronin, which is Axie Infinity's blockchain. Was announced, as well as liquidity incentives for providing liquidity for Smooth Love Potion and the Axie Infinity Shard AXS against wrapped ether. You can pool this and you can also farm it by farming RON tokens. So this was one piece of news that dropped quite recently. And we can see here, when it comes to revenues on Ronin and also cumulative revenues from marketplace fees and breeding fees, it's been going up again after there was a little bit of a dip, but it's been going up the last week in terms of marketplace fees and breeding fees. And you can also see that the staked AXS tokens have been increasing over time. And so you can go to stake.axieinfinity.com and you can see here that there's 20 million AXS tokens with 116% APR right now. And as you can see here as well, around $3 billion staked. And you can see how that's grown over time. There's been a bit of a jump here in the last few days. Wonder if that's like the Axie team staking some AXS tokens, perhaps. And yeah, so this is a pretty cool dashboard to check out for Axie Infinity. We also have some Ronin stats. We might want to add more on this, but you can see a pretty dramatic increase in the AXS market cap, the SLP market cap, and also the wrapped ETH market cap on Ronin. So that means people are bridging over Ethereum to the Ronin chain, probably to farm RON tokens. So that's another thing to be aware of. And soon, TM, we're going to have multi-chain dashboards for other chains such as CeeLo and Arbitrum. So, and more chains coming soon as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, let me head back here to the chat. Looks like there are some questions. So I'll try to answer them. What do you think about single emoji Solana domain cyber squatting? Like buy basketball.sol and hope NBA will buy it. Is this a meme or a real thing? I can't comment on the Solana aspect of that specifically, but we do know that this has been going on with Ethereum at least and ENS for a while. I don't have any opinion on whether or not it pays off and if it will for the .sol domains, but I would imagine that that is also happening with Sol, just like it also happens with web domains in the real world. GM Alex, what happened to the button section on defense? That is a great question. So if we go back here, you see there is no defense here. And I actually honestly don't even know where the stuff that was sitting under that section has gone, other than to say that smart alerts was one of these sections. So you can still go to smart alerts up here to set your own smart alerts. The other thing was the sandwich dashboard, and frankly, I have no idea where that went. It's a great question, and I will ask the product team what happened to the sandwich dashboard, because it's a pretty cool dashboard and we should have it here. So that's a great observation. And yeah, it used to be under more after smart alerts. Yeah, that's right. No idea. Checking with the product team. If someone else from the Nansen team is watching, please make a note and ask them in the Discord channel. We can get to the bottom of where the sandwich attack dashboard actually went. If there are other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay, from here, I think we can maybe start looking at some of the stuff that was happening this week, in particular, the ENS airdrop. So I'm gonna go back here and see if there are any traces of ENS on the front page. So the front page is quite useful just to spot what is actually going on in the blockchain world. And I would say that this section here maybe is a little bit overlooked by a lot of people. Let me see if I can change the sizing of the screen a little bit to make it a bit easier to read. And I'm also gonna lift that up. Let's see, like that, and see, hopefully the text is a little bit bigger for you guys, but let me know in the chat if you can't read this. So smart money token inflows means that the aggregate segment of addresses that we have classified as smart money, what tokens have they been accumulating, either like receiving tokens or buying them, and which tokens have they been sending out of their wallets in the last 1 day, we see here. And so maybe a few things to dive into. You can see I've starred the ENS one because the ENS airdrop was a pretty big event that happened there. So I think we can spend a little bit of time looking at this one. And if I right click here, I can look at token god mode. In fact, I think I can just directly click on it without right clicking, and it will take me to token god mode. But some people don't know about the right clicking functionality, which is actually pretty useful. So token god mode, as the name implies, gives you a god mode view on one specific token that you've plugged in this case, ENS. I see that about 2.38% of the ENS supply is sitting on exchanges, and I can see which exchanges it's sitting on over here. I actually didn't know it was listed on Binance, but I guess maybe it recently got listed there. Looks like it used to be OKX, which was by far the biggest one. They were quite early listing ENS there. And now Binance has almost overtaken them in number of tokens sitting with them. So let's go to notable wallets and see if we see anything fun here. So notable wallets shows you a few different tables that are worth looking at. You can see balance changes, which is what's been happening in the last 7 days with this token. And you can see this smart contract called ENS Token Lock has received a net 3.8 million ENS tokens. If you flip it around, you can see that this contract, which is the ENS token contract, has had a net outflow of 11.5 million tokens. And we can also see Jamie Dimon and a few other people here who have been net receiving tokens. And in fact, like, looks like, yeah, most people have been receiving tokens because it was just distributed through an airdrop to a lot of people. And this airdrop, as far as I know, was initiated yesterday, our time. So I think it was about 8 a.m. Singapore time yesterday that it started, and people could start claiming it. So you can claim this until May 4th, 2022. So you have some time to go and actually claim this. And there were a total of around 25 million tokens. That's like 25% of the total supply distributed to people with .eth names. And let's maybe dive a little bit deeper into this, and I'll show you how you can use Nansen to understand a bit better what's happening with these tokens. Because you might want to figure out, like, do I hold on to these tokens? Should I just sell them now? What are other people doing with their tokens, and so on? So what I would do is probably start here, because I know this is the smart contract that distributes tokens to people in the airdrop. And I would click on top recipients. If I go here, I can see who are the addresses that have been receiving these tokens. And actually, I'll spin up one more dashboard on the side here. So the other one is Wallet Profiler for Token, which is also quite useful, and it gives me some nice stats. In fact, I think I'll look at that before I go into the top recipients, because I want to get some high-level stats on what's happening here. So you can see that since the 1st of November, this has just been sitting on these 25 million tokens. And then boom, yesterday, the balance went down because people were able to claim from these 25 million. And right now, there are about 13.5 million tokens left here. So getting close to half of the tokens being claimed. And you can also see, you know, the largest transactions here, meaning the ones who had the biggest claims effectively from that contract. And you can see the number of addresses that have received ENS tokens from the smart contract. So almost 60,000 addresses have received this lovely gift from the Ethereum name service airdrop, which is pretty cool. So a lot of these people, of course, will be happy about this. And we can maybe figure out, like, what are these people doing with these tokens? And so for that, I might jump over to, you could use this dashboard as well, by the way, but I might jump over to the top recipients, because I feel this is like an easier to understand dashboard when it comes to the recipients. So these are different addresses that have received 1,144 tokens from the airdrop. That happens to be the max, as far as I know, that you could claim in the airdrop. And so if I just eyeball this and I see, well, there's like 18 addresses here, right, on this page. If I click to the next page, there's another 18, and boom, actually, this one here is the last one with 1144, and then it's less than that. And you can, of course, because these are .eth names, like pretty much all of them are labeled with ENS names. Some of them have, you know, smart money labels. Some of them have different labels that we have found for Nansen. But it's pretty interesting to see like how these addresses, you know, have labels that are intuitively understandable as a human being, like reading blockchain data. So I might look at this guy, parity.eth, and let's find out, like, what are they doing with their tokens. So I click wallet profile for token. I'll close the old one, and I'll actually spin up a few of these for a few of the different ones. So XDAI maybe, and maybe we'll do, let's do Swift Pay. Let's do maybe Alex.eth. Why not? That's a pretty interesting way to spell Alex. We do a little hacking.eth. Let's do that. Okay, check them out. So starting with parity.eth, what are they doing with their tokens? Are they dumping them? No. Looks like they've claimed it. That's it. They're not doing anything with the tokens right now. What about xdai.eth? Same thing. There's no outgoing addresses, just one ENS transaction, ENS token transaction here, and it's the incoming one when they claim, not selling. What about Swift Pay? Same thing. What about Alex.eth? Ooh, here's something going on. By the way, this is not me. So what did they do? Well, they claim, actually, let me sort by time here. First thing they did was to claim shortly after the airdrop took place, 33 minutes after it opened up. Then what did they do here? You see 654 tokens coming in from the ENS pool. So I'm going to click this one as well. And you can see them swapping Luna for ENS. Okay, interesting. By the way, this address has a lot of ENS names. Some of them are quite interesting. One of them is Japanese. That's in katakana. I'm not going to try to, or I think it says Alexander, if my Japanese is not too off, which makes sense if it's alex.eth. But okay, interesting. So they've received some tokens that they swapped from Luna. What about the other large-ish transaction they did here? This was a swap from Liquity USD, 100,000, and they bought ENS tokens for that. Interesting, $120,000. They seem to be quite bullish on the ENS project. And actually, let me bring that back up again, because let's see if I can see here. yeah, they bought it for 120,000, and those tokens are now worth about 150,000. So made 30,000 unrealized gains on that one. Oh, they also used a flash bot, private transaction. Interesting. So yeah, actually, I actually first thought that they were selling, but it looks like they were accumulating more after getting these tokens. What about we do little hacking? Only a claim, and so on. So we're back to the list here. So it looks like just sampling like some of these top holders. Actually, none of them sold their tokens, and it could be because they are the top holders, right? So they are maybe the most loyal as well. But you could sample this a bit more. Here we have tusen takk, which means thank you very much in Norwegian. Let's check out tusen takk. I'll have a quick look at what they're doing. Maybe we can have a look at masks.eth as well. Not that one. Let me see. Some pretty interesting addresses here, though. Let's see if I'm bringing up masks.eth, opsec.eth. Okay. Whoa. Plus 206. This is a huge. This one just bought tons of ENS names, and they received $56,000 worth of ENS tokens. So maybe it was good ROI scooping up those, although they didn't technically have to buy all of those to get the airdrop, but they didn't know that, I guess. This appears to be a Norwegian-speaking wallet. No further comment. It's not me, but it looks like they actually might have sold some of the ENS tokens. Indeed, they have. They swapped it for USDC, 22,000. So they swapped half of their tokens for USDC. So that's one seller that we spotted right away. Anyway, you can keep doing this stuff and try to figure out like what's going on. One thing that I think would be quite useful if the product team is watching, and I would like to have this as a user, would be like an aggregate view. Instead of having to poke through and sample these different addresses, it would be nice to think of this as like one audience, one segment of addresses. What has this segment been doing with their tokens, in aggregate? Did they sell ENS tokens in the last 24 hours? What have they been doing? So I think that would be a quite powerful addition that we could add, and something that I might add to the feedback.nansen.ai page afterwards. But that's briefly about the ENS airdrop. You can also go to a YouTube video that I made yesterday about the ENS airdrop if you want to look at this a bit more. But effectively, you just go to the ENS token in token god mode. You scroll down to top balances. You spot this guy, which stands out because they've distributed 11.5 million tokens. You right click it and you can look at wallet profile of a token. And you can also look at top recipients. Top depositors here doesn't make that much sense, but just for the sake of showing it, we could pull that up as well, and you would see who actually provided the 25 mil to this token. And you can see here that the zero address, because they got minted, so they directly got from the zero address into this this contract is how they ended up there. So not super interesting, to be honest, but yeah. There were a few things that our analysts picked up as well about this airdrop, which I think I will mention. So one thing that was a little bit funny was that if you look at, and actually maybe you can spot this in the top transactions, I'm actually not sure, but if we click through here, do we see something funny? I don't think we do. So I think these guys in our team might have spotted this in another way. Yeah, here, actually, I can see it here. So now I'm at top transactions, right? And I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like Alameda sent 12,000 ENS tokens to Lido. And I have no idea why they would do that. Yeah, literally no idea. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but might have been a mistake. If we look at the Lido wallet profiler and we see, are there other ENS tokens that are sitting here? No, it's literally just this one. And it's like $700,000 worth of ENS tokens that mistakenly got sent to Lido. Not sure. Little bit strange. But yeah, that's one kind of interesting observation that our analysts spotted. They also mentioned that it might be worth looking at the hodlers tab, which shows the unique addresses for token. And so right now there are more than 30,000 addresses that hold ENS. And if you recall, actually this is kind of interesting. If you recall, there were almost 60,000 that claimed. So it means like there are quite a lot of addresses that actually sold the ENS address, ENS tokens. Very good. So let me just have a quick look at my notes. Okay, let me see if I can answer some questions. Oh, there's actually a lot of questions here. Is it possible to try VIP features before purchasing? Unfortunately, we don't offer VIP trials. You could try to email us at support@nansen.ai and try your luck and see if someone will follow up to maybe do an exception for you. But normally we don't allow people to try the VIP features before purchasing. But try to send an email to support@nansen.ai, see what they say. Black Friday sale, no comment. I got 76 tokens, haven't claimed them yet. Okay, congrats, Jay. And he's got 10 .eth names, he or she. Very cool. Right-click functionality is dope. I totally agree. And I think if you don't watch these YouTube videos, you probably don't even know that the right-click functionality exists. Maybe something we should be thinking about making a little bit easier. When Nansen token, cannot comment. I wonder how many new ENS token buyers and how many notable. Yeah, how many notable? That's a good question. Maybe it doesn't exactly answer that question, and I think we should have a way to compile some stats on like what percentage of the total supply is owned by smart money. That's something that I would want to know. If I go back to the home screen and I look at smart money token inflow, at least I see there's ENS is among the top tokens that there's been an inflow to, and also the top holdings here. So the change in one day, they're also sitting there with 6 million. And you could start looking at the smart money dashboards to actually, if we go to token holdings here, yeah, here we go. So you can see the change in 30 days. So like $6 million. And then the last day was also $6 million because it was released yesterday. And it's 89 smart money addresses. So it doesn't exactly answer the question. Or actually kind of does, right? So 31,000 addresses holding it right now, and then 89 smart money addresses that have been net accumulating them. So that's how I would do that right now. But I do feel like we should also have a way to see in token god mode what percentage of the supply is held by smart money and how has that changed over time. Perhaps it should be here. Perhaps it should be a line that kind of goes up or down over time with the smart money holdings. Yeah, different ways to solve that, but it's a good question. The lower holder count could be people consolidating ENS from multiple wallets or LP or something. Excellent point. And this is a great example of how you shouldn't necessarily jump to conclusions like I did earlier to say that, you know, half of these addresses sold tokens. It could be that they just consolidate. So they have multiple .eth names and then they sent all the tokens to one place. And it looks like they sold from this aggregate stats. But if you think a little bit more about how the on-chain data would look like in the different scenarios, it could be that they just consolidated. That's a great point, the irreverent. What is the best way to find new hot token contracts? I like this question because I can just go to the homepage and say, you can look at hot contracts over here. So if I click this one, you will see hot contracts. By the way, this homepage widget is available to everyone, but hot contracts, this fully fledged dashboard is only available to VIP customers. So you can see that there's a GM token here. I'm not familiar with this, but I might want to have a look at this. So I'm going to bring it up in the wallet profiler separately. But here you can sort, you can look at inflows in the last day, in the last 1 hour, in the last week. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we could be looking into across protocol, DOE rewards, MC, which I think is merit circle. In fact, yeah, maybe I'll just bring that up as well. What was this first one? GM. What's GM? Is there actually a token called GM? I didn't know. I'm going to use the excellent right-click function here, and I could go to token god mode for this one. I could also look at maybe I'll look at wallet profiler for token as well, because this is a Uniswap pool, so I might want to understand who's trading this GM token, and I could do that by just drilling down on the wallet profiler for token on the Uniswap pool. But before I do that, I want to look at token god mode for GM. Okay, a lot of tokens on Uniswap. Notable wallets. This feels a little bit like a meme coin, so do your own research here. 123 billion tokens, which is 20%, is sitting in the Uniswap contract, and there's a bunch of other .eth names and so on holding it. So do your own research on this one. I have no idea. We don't have the price for it. There's 2,400 holders. So yeah, you could look more closely at this one, but stay safe out there. I'm gonna close this for now and just figure out who is providing liquidity or trading this token. So some of the same names here. This is wallet profiler for token. I'm looking at the GM token against the Uniswap pool, and you can see Axie. Okay. MetaMask swaps 0x. Okay. I want to see if I can find hopeless.eth. Let's look at hopeless.eth. What have they been doing with this one? We should have a wallet profiler for token on that one. Okay. I think we don't have to go down this rabbit hole. I'll just leave it for the viewer to check out GM token. Might be a meme coin, no idea. Here's another token, MC, merit circle. I'm gonna also bring up token god mode for this one. And maybe we can have a look, but this one I actually have some notes on from our analysts. So the MC token, merit circle, they had an ICO on November 5th. And you can sort of see how this very quickly ended up in Uniswap pools, people adding liquidity, people, I guess, flipping or selling. And you can also see that reflected in the balancer chart here, because they were using balancer for the ICO. And looking at the notable wallets for this one, you can see the balancer V2 Vault, which presumably is where the tokens were sitting when they were doing the ICO. We can scroll down here and you can see that 95% is sitting in one contract, presumably for community incentives and things like that. Something to investigate. And yeah, you can click through this. Actually, you can look at the number of holders here to get a sense of 7,000 addresses holding this. And 5th of November is when I did the ICO. So it jumped from 2,800, boom, to actually, if you look a few days before, it's 1,600, and it's been booming up to 7,500, and it's been going down a bit. Here, maybe there's been a little bit of selling going on. Not sure, but it looks like the price jumped to around 8. I think it went a little bit higher if you look at the monthly resolution, and then it's been going down since then. I believe, I'm not sure actually what the pricing was for the ICO, but I think it was, yeah, I think it was around $2 or something like that. Yeah, worth for people to do their own research on that one. But yeah, this is the notes we have here. I'm also, full disclosure, I'm also an angel investor in Merit Circle, and it's a game guild DAO focusing on maximizing yield across play to earn games and the metaverse. It was originally known as Axie 420, a scholarship program for Axie Infinity, and with the rebrand to Merit Circle, the DAO is focused on expanding beyond Axie Infinity and into other crypto games. I'm reading up the notes from the analysts. That's not a commercial, although it might sound like that. Maybe the last thing we can look at is one thing I spotted here on the side is going back to the home screen. I noticed that Liquity as well is a token that it stands out a bit on the smart money chart. So I'm going to click through on this and see if I can spot something interesting. And here, once again, I have some notes from our analysts. So what is Liquity? To give you a bit of context, Liquity is a protocol that allows for interest-free borrowing on Ethereum with 110% collateral ratio. And in the words of our analyst, it is typically a farm and dump token, but volume has a recent pickup in pace. And so you can use Nansen to check what has caused the volume spike. And so one thing we can look at here is the trades tab. So let's look at that first, right? So I'm in token god mode, looking at trades. It's quite clear that the volume has picked up a lot on DEXs lately. And so it's had a lot of volume back in April. It's been cooling down quite a bit along with the price. And the cool thing about looking at DEX volume is that in my experience, it tends to be a bit more correlated with the price action. If you look at centralized exchanges, there's so much wash trading going on that the volume charts become quite noisy. But when it comes to DEXs, you have a lot less wash trading, and often it's more interesting to see volume spikes. So that's one thing that you can see right away. And so if you could actually also look at smart money holdings here. So there's a few different ways to do that. But actually, maybe I'll just go back to notable wallets first. And there are a few things that pop up right away. Okay, if I sort here, 3 Arrows Capital, $750,000 worth of liquidity. Interesting. If I flip it around, ICO check.eth, maybe selling or getting rid of some tokens. Maybe they're just staking them. Not super clear. We can find out afterwards. But the 3 Arrows one is pretty interesting. And from Justin Sun to 3 Arrows. That's curious. So is that an OTC deal? Is it a liquidity transfer? Is it PSYOPs at the highest level? Who knows? But interesting nonetheless. And now we see 3 Arrows here at 750,000, high up on the rankings. Okay, interesting. Price pumping as well. And this explains why this has been high on the smart money rankings, right? Because 3 Arrows is listed as a smart money address. What do we want to look at next here? You can also look at hodlers and see that on a seniority distribution, most tokens are held by addresses that have held this token more than 90 days. But in the last few weeks, there's been quite a few new addresses that's been coming in. And you can also see that on the chart. It's jumped up here around the 29th of October, which is interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to dig into here. And I think an interesting find from our analysts there. Okay, let me check the chat again. Coinbase seems to be very keen on ENS. Is this a key signal for smart money buys? Not sure where you get that observation from on Coinbase. So if you're still watching, maybe you can clarify what makes you think that Coinbase is keen on ENS. I don't have VIP Nansen, only the lowest tier subscription. What is similar to hot contracts and the lowest tier subscription I have? That's a great question. And I think I would probably say that one thing you could do is, so there are a few different things. You could actually look at the Stablecoin Master, because often, especially for yield farming and things like that, it can be helpful to know where the stablecoins are flowing. And so looking at notable wallets for Stablecoin Master is a bit of a workaround that might be interesting. And so right away, I see, well, there's an Avalanche bridge here which has a lot of balance and quite a lot of change in positive terms as well, 371 million. So that gives me an indication that maybe some interesting stuff is happening on Avalanche. If you flip around, you can also see, okay, Bitfinex multisig 2. I think this is Tether minting. In fact, we could look at that separately to confirm. But yeah, there's also Huobi EcoChain, $101 million flowing out of that bridge. Interesting. What else do we see here? You see Curve, you see a lot of exchanges naturally. Might be worth clicking through some of these to see like AnySwap. Okay, quite a few like centralized exchanges. These 55 million batches feels like an exchange, maybe something for our attribution team to look more closely at. TrueFi lending pool. Let's see what else. Frax USDC. So this could be, one way to find out. You can look at where the stable coins are flowing. You can also do this, by the way, with token God mode. So if you go to diligence, token God mode, plug in something like USDC, like what are people doing with their USDC? You can find out by going to token God mode and checking out notable wallets. And this is like similar to hot contracts, but it's not as powerful because you're only looking at one token flowing into these. But here you see some of the same things, like Avalanche. Many people are sending USDC to Avalanche. Some liquidity incentives, perhaps, some interesting stuff going on there. Well, now you might not have known about it, but now you do. And it's worth looking into. And yeah, this is probably one way I would do it if you don't have hot contracts, to just look at token God mode and see where people are sending stable coins. Possible to map token price action to aggregate token flows by addresses or aggregate smart money, etc. My suggestion, go to feedback.nansen.ai, slam in your feature request, spread it to all your friends so that they can upvote it, and there's a high chance that we will ship that feature. It's a good suggestion. And yeah, smart money and switch contracts. That's another good tip, actually. Thank you, Jason, for that. So you can also go to smart money here and simply see what people are interacting with. So, well, DEX trades is one thing, but you can see tokens that they are trading in the smart money segment. And you can also look at transactions that are happening, which can be quite useful. In particular, contract interaction, this is maybe a bit of an alpha leak, but the approval thing is pretty cool because you can see when smart money addresses are approving, meaning they're using this smart contract for a particular token for the first time. So sometimes that can be pretty interesting to see what they're doing. So like Wi-Fi Whale using Olympus staking, kind of interesting, I would say. Might want to look into that. Malady-wise on OpenSea approving a Master Chef contract. Interesting. Looks like they're depositing DOP wrapped Ether tokens into the MasterChef contract. We can look at the transaction here. So they approved this for trade on that. That's pretty cool. In fact, this one, I think I might want to look at, probably want to look at this in token God mode. So I'm going to do a little bit of a trick here. So this here is an LP token, right? And I want to figure out where this LP token actually went. So DOP, don't know what this token is, but I'm going to spin that up as well in the background here. But the token is actually up here. This is both a smart contract that you can deposit money into because it's a liquidity pool, but it's also its own token. And because it's its own token, I can plug it into token God mode. This should hopefully show the MasterChef contract. Once again, do your own research. I know nothing about this project, but if I go to the top balances for this LP token, probably there's some MasterChef contract where people are putting these LP tokens in and getting yields. Indeed, here it is, the MasterChef token. Maybe I want to look at top depositors to see, you know, who else is depositing these LP tokens into this MasterChef farming contract. I don't even know what this is, but I might be able to Google around and find like out what DOP is. Maybe I should know this. I see 159 addresses. That's not a lot. And actually, it's a pretty long time ago since these people got into this. So doesn't feel like a very hot opportunity. It doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily, but yeah, that's maybe something to look at, but perhaps not as interesting as I thought it would be. But that's just an example of seeing like, hey, looking through the contract interactions, we see this smart money address approving this MasterChef. And that's a pretty, can be a sign that they're doing something fun with the contract that you don't know about. So definitely clicking through the smart money transactions and contract interactions can be a very good idea to discover stuff. All right, let's see in the chat again here. Wonder how many Ohm stakers are also staking Klima. Is there a way to find out? Maybe you can help me a little bit, or let's find out together. But when you stake Ohm, what do you get back? You get some like S-Ohm tokens or something like that. Let's see. Let's look at Ohm in token God mode. Maybe this is staked Ohm, or there you go. Yeah, you answered it for me. Staked Ohm, cool. So then what about Klima? What do you get from staking Klima? God damn it, there's no Klima token. Bad. Let's find out. S Klima, okay. Why don't we have Klima whitelisted? So, wow, neither does Etherscan. So that's hilarious. Okay, Klima DAO deployer. Ah, it's on Polygon. Oh, that's the tricky one. Then, well, I mean, we can switch to Polygon, I guess. Klima here. Boom. That's why it's because I'm stupid. We didn't have it on Ethereum because it's on Polygon. It's on Matic. Okay, well then it's a little bit tricky, right? Because then we would have to look at, is Ohm on Polygon as well? I mean, I know it's on Ethereum, but if it's on Polygon, we could perhaps do token overlap, but I'm not sure there is a Ohm or staked Ohm on Polygon. I'm gonna check that here in the background. Let's see. Let's look at Polygon. Let's look at token God mode and see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so is only on ETH. So that makes it a little bit tricky to look at the overlap. But just for the sake of showing how this might work, maybe, is there another, what's another coin we could use as an example? What's like an related token? Let's see. Maybe we can look at DAI, a bad example, but like whatever, let's use this as an example. We could look at token overlap, which is down here. And we can plug in Klima and some other token like DAI. And if we click here, you will be able to see the overlap in holdings between these two different tokens. Wrapped stake on. Okay, is that on Polygon or Ethereum? I think I'll have to leave it at this. We're getting close to the hour, but so let me just wrap this up and close some of these tabs here. Let's see. So if you're watching this for the first time, hope you had fun. The way to do the same stuff that I was doing is basically to go to Nansen.ai and get a trial for $9. This allows you to use Nansen for a week. And if you like the video, please smash the like button. Please share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications if you're very eager, so you can get notified of when we go live and when we post new videos. So that's it for this time. Thanks very much for watching. A GM to everyone around the world, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.